back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing my February wrap up. And you guys know with my wrap up, I talk about the books, movies, and music I listen to the whole entire month. So yeah, let's just get started. So first, let's start with books. So the first book I read was Nervous Conditions. I'm gonna say this name because I know I'm gonna butcher it, but I listened to it and it was okay. I think because I listened to it as opposed to reading it, but this was on my TBR for this year, and I'm knocking my books off that TBR too, and also adding new books in, but this was on my TBR, so I knew I had to read it, wanted to read it, and I think what got me was the first page. Like, it literally said, "Was not sorry when my brother died," and yeah. So I'm like, okay, you want to know more. And that brother did get on my nerves. He was, ooh, what was he kind of gave me like T.I. vibes, where, like T.I. is real misogynistic, and, has this thing where a woman should stay at home and be in the kitchen. He was like that. But in regards to, you don't need to go to school. Why do girls need to go to school? She was more studious than him. I know this is a series. There's 2 other books to this. Next is Long Gone Come Home. Now, this actually was our Unsung Black book club pick for January, and I finished it like in February, like the 1st of February. So I obviously wanted to include it for this month because I read it in February. I think we rated this a 3-star. It was okay. It was a decent story. I thought, I think the beginning it was going good. The middle was like, towards the end it kind of picked up. But yeah, we gave this a 3-star. This was a debut novel of Monica Kilgore. So I wouldn't be opposed to reading another book by her because I did like her dialogue. This is a historical fiction, you would say. You have a young girl. What's her girl's name? Birdie. Birdie lives in a small town. She has 2 other sisters. Her mom is very kind of controlling, but like tight-knit. She's a caterer, I believe. So her thing is like, go to church, do the catering for the whites, and that's basically it. But Birdie meets this young man that is totally the opposite of her. She ends up getting married, but something happens where she has to leave her town. And yeah. Next, I went back to a urban fiction. I just picked this up on a whim, and let me just show you what it was. It is Wahida Clark, Hugs and Women Who Love Them. You guys know how much I love Wahida Clark. This was like my introduction to actually loving urban fiction. I started out with The Coldest Winter Ever, and I was like 28. I started out late reading urban fiction, and that didn't really do anything for me. So when I remember seeing this at Walmart, you have 4 young girls. You got Angel, Jazz, Kira, and Tasha / Roz. Her man don't like to call her by her first name. He liked to call her by her middle name, Tasha. So yeah. In the first book, we're introduced to her as Roz, and in the second book is Tasha, because her name was like Rosalind Tasha or something like that. They in the hood and stuff like that, but they're extremely smart. Like, these girls are so smart. Angel is studying to be an attorney. You have somebody is a scientist, a chemist. Roz wants to do physical therapy, and Kira, I think, is psych or something like that. So they're very smart. I think, who is it? Jazz goes to Princeton. Somebody go to Columbia. Like, they're very, very smart. It's just like their circumstances, they're dealing with these hood men. They're a product of their environment, basically. But it's very, very good. The first book, you're introduced to everyone. Okay, yeah. It's like everyone gets a section. The person that you don't really learn about until the next book is Tasha, and read this in 2019. So it was a blast reading it. I'm reading the second book. I'm just taking my time with it because these next author that I'm going to talk about, I have been on a kick, and y'all know how I get when I'm on my kicks. I just immerse myself in it. But I am going to pick that back up. These are good for, like, if you're reading a book that's very, very serious and you kind of pick up this, even though I contradict myself. this doesn't make sense because, yeah, you know how you're reading a very heavy book and I'll pick this up, but it's like drugs and, women getting beat, men getting shot, and, all the sex and stuff like that. But for some reason, that kind of, it's odd, but it kind of cleanses my palate. Something's wrong with me. Probably this year, I'm gonna read it again because I'm on the second book. But if you're looking for a good urban fiction, you haven't read the Thug series by Wahida Clark, I would highly suggest you read this. This is the first book. Okay, and lastly, I got into an author this month, and the crazy thing is, we were in February, so that's Black History Month, and y'all know how I always read Blacks, clearly. And this month, it's so funny, but I picked up a white author, a white male author, and when I tell you I have been immersed in his writing and his life, and it is Truman Capote. Okay, the reason why I got into this is because FX is currently now doing the Feud series. They had one they did back like 2-3 years ago. It was Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. I already knew about their little feud or whatever, so I wasn't really interested in them. I know a lot about Joan Crawford because she is one of my favorite actresses. I've seen basically all her movies. And I do like Betty Davis, but I'm not a huge fan. Mine is, I love Joan Crawford. But I saw that they were doing Truman Capote versus the Swans. And I've heard of Truman Capote, and I know that he was an author, but I didn't know, like, oh girl, the stuff that he caused. But you have he called his friends the Swans, and they were like socialites, New York, society. But he wrote 3 stories that were in Esquire. And one story in particular is called La Cote Basse, I believe. And he basically told their business. The one swan / friend that he really loved, her name was Barbara Paley. She was married to the co-founder of CBS, I believe. But she would tell, obviously, like a lot of he cheated on her a lot. So of course she would confide in, Truman is like your best friend. You'd be talking to your best friend. Well, he told basically the stuff that she told him. Her husband, Bill Paley, that's his name, he had an affair with Happy Rockefeller, and she was the governor's wife or whatever of New York. So he didn't use her name, but he said, oh, the governor's wife, which we know. But which is what I don't even know how this is a shade. But while he was, sleeping with her, she was on her monthly. And the way he describes it is like, oh, there was blood everywhere, and the blood stains was bigger as Brazil. And like one of the critics said, like, for a heterosexual man, a woman being on her monthly, that's not a big deal. Like, but I guess for a man, a gay man, that's like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you coming for Happy and Bill, but it was like, that's not a big deal for a man. And for a woman, I mean, that's why you got here, okay? And she trusts him. Another person that he did wrong was, she really wasn't his swan. It was kind of like a friend of me. Like, they were friends a little bit, but it was a woman named Anne Woodworth, I believe. And she claimed that while her and her husband, they were in their house, she thought it was a burglar, and she ended up shooting and killing him. Well, Truman went around saying that no, that wasn't a burglar, that she actually killed her husband. And she, the charges were acquitted and things like that. A couple of weeks before the Esquire magazine came out, she got a hold of it, and she killed herself. So they're saying that, it was because of him. He used the first name Anne, but he didn't use the last name. So yeah, he was messy, all right? It was called Answer Prayers, and it was 3 stories that he only published. Because of the fallout, they said that he did finish writing it, but he didn't put it out. But you have some people said, well, no, after those 3 stories came out, he ended up getting ostracized and, excommunicated from everyone. So there are some people are thinking he didn't even write these stories because of the fallout, or he might have written them and then realized the fallout and burnt them. He claimed that he has them and they were in a safe deposit box, but you can't find them. He didn't write them stories. He didn't. Random House did publish at least 3 of the stories from Esquire. So I read that story, and then I wanted to read Breakfast at Tiffany's. Of course, I know and have seen the movie with Audrey Hepburn. That movie's okay. It's totally different from the book because they're being very discreet in the movie. You see that Holly Golightly, she's a call girl, which a call girl is a nice way of saying a prostitute, because if you really do watch and listen to that movie, you know, it's like she's going out with these men, but they're like, oh, well, you know, we were in the, what is it, coat closet or whatever for 5 minutes, and then I gave you money and I left. What was she doing in the coat closets? Okay. But yeah, in the movie, she's real sophisticated as a love story and all that. In the book, she's barely legal. She's 19 years old. She's running away from her past. She's from the South. She came to New York. She's a prostitute. Okay. And then she ends up meeting a young man that's in her apartment building, which in the movie, he's like a gigolo, basically, where he has a older woman taking care of him. In the book, he's just a young man that wants to be a writer, and he meets Holly Golightly. And she's really manipulative, but she's really interesting. She's sweet. She's just a different character, okay? And they start to talk and things like that. So it's very different from like I said, the movie. This is a little bit more gritty, a lot more gritty, because he uses some terms, some slurs, okay? And it's like, bruh, the stuff, I think the way he describes lesbians, okay? And he uses some terms, yeah. It's a novella. It's only like 90 something pages. And then also when this book came out, he's known for short stories. So he has 1, 2, 3 short stories. And then the next short story, so I read the novella, so I read Breakfast at Tiffany's, and then I wanted to read A Christmas Memory. It's kind of based on his childhood. He had a cousin named Spook, I believe. Spook probably had some mental issues or some development issues. She probably had a mind of like maybe a 10-year-old. And it's so cute. She always says, oh, it's fruit cake ware season, meaning that it's Christmas time and they bake, pies and things like that. It's such a cute little story. He is from the South. You guys know To Kill a Mockingbird, the little, what is it? The little boy, annoying boy is based off of him because Harper Lee, they grew up together. I was on a Truman Capote kick this month and will probably be, well, not probably, am still in the kick for March because I'm still not done reading his short stories and things like that. All right, so that was for books. Let's go to movies. Again, on a Truman Capote kick, so I've been watching The Feud, Truman versus Swans. Love it. So far, I would say my favorite Swan. I do like Barbara Paley. I like the way Naomi Watts is portraying her. And I like Diane Lane. She's portraying Slim Keith. And Tom, what's his name? I forgot his last name, but he's playing Truman. He is doing a fantastic job. He got that voice down and everything. It's so good. You guys, please watch it. So because I'm watching that, and it streams on Hulu. Hulu also had a documentary called The Truman Tapes, and it's so good because it talks about his life. You hear about all the tea and drama. So good. Please, you guys, watch it. It's a documentary that's very entertaining. Sometimes documentaries can be kind of a bore, but I'm a person, I love documentaries. So, I don't mind them. But this one is not a bore. It's not a bore because his life was so, he talked too much. So, of course, he's telling all the tea and drama, and you learn about his life and things like that. All right. So next, I watched Sunset Boulevard, which is an old movie that came out in the 1950s. And it has Gloria Swanson and William Holden. I had seen that before, but I had years ago in my 20s, I became obsessed with black and white movies and old Hollywood. So I have a lot of those movies and know a lot about them and the actors and actresses. But I remember watching that movie and doing something else because at the time, I am not a fan of black and white movies. I feel like I can't see their outfits. Which some way it's like, yeah, no, because it's not in color. But I was going through something online and saw some clips and I'm like, let me watch it. So good. I already knew what was going to happen. But if you haven't seen that movie, you don't expect what happened to happen. Because a lot of times with old Hollywood movies, it's like so predictable, but the way it ends, it's so iconic. So it was perfect. Next, I went back to another old Hollywood movie. It's called It Started in Naples with Clark Gable and Sophia Loren. Sophia Loren, hands down, is my favorite actress of all times. All times, okay? I'm obsessed with anything Italian, and oh my goodness, love Sophia Loren. But this is a cute little story. It's set in Naples, Italy. You have a young woman, I forgot that lady's name, but she is raising her nephew, and her sister passed, her sister and like her sister's boyfriend or whatever passed. And then you have a man, Clark Gable's character. He is from America, and it's kind of like a custody battle. And you have a young Italian boy. He's like, I just want to stay with my aunt in Italy. And it's so cute because he a little grown little thing. Look, smoke cigarettes, drink coffee, and he about 9 years old. But it's so cute just to see the different dynamics of like American culture and Italian culture. And in anything with Sophia Loren, it's amazing. It's a cute little story. And then lastly, I watched another movie by her called Angela. It was in the 70s. Which, girl, I did not like the way that ended. I was beat about that. So you have a woman named Angela. She was a ex-prostitute, basically. Her husband goes away, and then he comes back, and she becomes pregnant. But he thinks, oh, you've been messing around. This ain't my baby. So this man have some people kidnap her baby, and she thinking that the baby is dead. And all these years later, I believe she thinks that he's dead, and he's actually not. And yeah, but the way it ended was horrible. I was very angry. Okay. Was not happy about it. Because first of all, he had no business going and taking that girl's baby. My thing is, if you didn't believe it was your baby, just look, do like other men do, where they don't take care of it. Why you go take the baby and then lie and tell her that the baby was dead? Yeah, I didn't like the way that ended, okay? But Sophia Loren was in it, so it was perfect. So yeah, that is it when it comes to movies. For music, I did not really listen to a whole body of work like I usually do, but I did want to show you guys the new records that I got, because I did get more. So I got Phyllis Hyman, Living All Alone. I'm almost done with having all of her records. I think I need about 3 more, but this is really good. It has the self-titled track Living All Alone. I have Stevie Wonder. Love this. I wanted to get this because it has All I Do and Master Blaster, and it has Happy Birthday. This, oh my gosh, you guys. Don't Be Cruel by Bobby Brown. This, I didn't realize this record had so many good hits. He came out with a bang, okay? Because you have Don't Be Cruel, My Prerogative, Roni, and Rock With You, and Every Little Step. And then lastly, I got Teddy P. And I wanted to get this because it has Love TKO. And I mean, I love Teddy P. Come on now. That voice is just amazing. So yeah, that is it when it comes to like the records. I'm probably going to listen to a lot of these next month. Yeah, guys, that is it when it comes to my monthly wrap up of February. I had a really good month. Thank you guys so much for supporting the Black History Month and watching the videos. We learned a lot. So I love doing those videos and just learning about Blacks that have done everything, because we do everything. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for you. Now I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.